Max. Morning, everyone. Chris Shangor here, Crown Diamond with Max International. It's always an absolute pleasure to have the opportunity to share with you. And folks, today we're dealing with day 81 out of the 90 days. Now, this is pretty amazing, would you say? And again, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you for those of you that have been consistent and that have been committed. As I always say, the secret to success is the consistency and the congruency in being consistent. And that is really the key. And the topic of today is a series of responses to a Q&A session that we went through yesterday, well, basically on day 81, which today is day 82. So I'm sharing yesterday's day. And I felt that it was very important because very often what happens is we go along through doing our businesses and we come across through some challenges. And let me share my screen here so you can see that sheet that we prepared. And many of you, as a matter of fact, have probably seen it if you happen to be going on a Crown Diamond Global Impact group. Now, I do recommend that, as you know, we're coming to a close here for the 90-day run. And my recommendation is take advantage of these modules. As you know, every time we do a video like this, they're being featured. So you can go ahead and watch them all the way from January 3rd. And we're also going to be creating an environment where many of our us leaders can use this information as we see fit within our own social environment, tool support, website support, and make sure you follow your leaders. Okay. And if that's not happening in your case, then that's totally cool. That's the reason why this group exists. And of course, we always appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your thumbs up. We appreciate your hearts. We appreciate your comments. It gives us the feedback to let us know, hey, we're doing well. So thank you. And by the way, we also have a channel, which is the Crown Diamond Global Impact channel. Feel free to opt in into there because we're going to be adding on more stuff on a regular basis. As right now, every videos that's been created from January 3rd has been uploaded there. Okay. So just wanted to let you know. Now, let's start with the first question, which is, I think, the $1 million question is, how do you handle someone who just started and wants to stop? Have you ever gone through something like that? I can tell you that I did, even recently, right? And one of the things that's very important here when this happens is not to panic, get discouraged, and kind of look down at us saying, you know what, this is just not working. It's been so hard to bring this person in. And I've done all of this, these stage and these steps to get this person in. And boom, the moment, there's challenges, they're out. One of the things that I recommend is, as I say, first of all, you want to have kind of a calm posture. And often this message can come in the form of a text and an email. Maybe it was a voicemail or a WhatsApp message or a Facebook message, whatever. Whatever is easier for the person, maybe not to face you, but let you know what, I'm out. One thing that's important is get off the device. In other words, if it's a text, get them off the text and set a time to connect with them and really understand what is going on. And one thing I can tell you, this is what I do regularly. When someone comes to me and they're all excited in a moment, and a month goes by, 2 months goes by, and suddenly stop their authorship and they turn around and they don't return your calls, they don't attend your trainings, reach out to them and try to understand from their point of view what is going on. Why do they feel this way? In other words, is you need to relate to what is going on. And the fact here is the key is that you want to bring them back in a state that they were as to why they started this business. And I say, for me to say this like this, it may sound simple, and I know it's not a simple thing, but sometimes, folks, there's a fine line. There's a fine line. It's let me rephrase that. It's a very small step to help them cross the line again to want to re-engage. And the point is, sit down with them, a matter of speaking, and listen to what they have to say. Relate to what they're telling you, understand how they feel, and respond according to how they feel. Maybe you felt the same way. I remember way back when I started this business and I just was huffing and puffing. I didn't get the results I wanted. And I remember talking to my upline. It says, when can I find someone like me that is so committed, that wants to do this? Where are they? And they say, Chris, they will come. And they did. And often it's not necessarily the person that I personally brought into the business, but it was actually led through a different generation, maybe two, second, or third, even fourth, maybe fifth, even sixth generation. And that's when they basically decided to engage. But what I do and what I did and still do today is I stay in touch. I stay in contact. And I also help them revisit why they got started in this business, why they decided to be part of this venture, and bring them back to what's the difference. If you quit, right? If you quit, you're going back to where you were, where you're not happy. If you stay the course, the worst that's going to happen is nothing. So why quit? This is one of the often arguments that I have with a prospect that starts one star. What's if you stop now, then what else do you have going for you? Let's work together and understand maybe something happened. Maybe they talked to three people and three people said no. And they feel like it's just not working for them. All right. Good morning, Luz. Pleasure to have you here from Puerto Rico. Thank you for posting. So the point here, folks, that's important is you need to relate to the person and you need to help them and guide them through some of the challenges that maybe you've gone through that maybe you even forgot about. And that's what I mean, what you need to relate to the person. Okay. And um, one of the things that, again, to go back to the point of relating, is often people are hungry for more, but they lost faith on the fact that they can actually get there. And just having someone by their side, knowing that someone is there by their side, will actually make the difference to keep them engaged, maybe for another 90 days. As a matter of fact, it's the reason why the 90 days is here, right? It gives them something to focus on the steps, opposed to focus on what's not working, right? So the fact here, and the easy really answer to this question, and I'm spending time on this because it's important, is spend the time to understand what is going on and what triggered this emotion that they want to stop. It could have been someone that told them something that they choose to believe that may be inaccurate, but from their lack of understanding and belief and experience in this kind of business, they believe whatever that person might have said to them, or how they feel about maybe what has happened. And that's the reason why having a collaboration with an upline, and if it's not an upline, within a group, within an organization, such as the Crown Diamond Global Impact, maybe your team leader has an organization and has some kind of environment for you to feed from. Maybe there's a WhatsApp group. Maybe you don't participate in his WhatsApp group, right? Are you participating and constantly updating the information for you to be able to help your downline to see the big picture? I know what we created, Tammy and I, is a team site. Many of you are aware. We have the site called activeteamgroup.com. You go there. We added a pin board. In the pin board, just recently, we added the promotion, the March promotion. We added the recent upcoming events that's coming in Kenya because of the opening in Kenya. So create an environment so your downline can go to feed, to be able to help them provide information to their own organization. Okay, so when you have something like that within that environment, Max Moning, when you have something like that within your environment, what happens is it keeps people on board. And even though they may feel a little bit discouraged from the current situation that they're facing, it's the team support in the organization and the platform that keeps them engaged, that keeps them on board until they start getting results. That's the reason why I really encourage you to create an environment for your downline to thrive. And if you don't have the resources, the experience, that's totally fine. Just team up with a team that you trust, that you feel comfortable with. That's why we created this, so everybody around the world can team up if they choose to, regardless of what may happen within their own organization. Okay? And if you have any other comments or questions on that, post them in a comment, and as I pick them, I'll respond. Okay? And if I miss one, I always look through the comments after the video, and I can always comment and feedback and give you a response. Throughout the next throughout the rest of the day or whatever. As I come across to see them. The second question I'd like to share with you here is, what do I do if someone in your downline is being disrespectful? Okay. And folks, again, that happens. That happens. It's part of life. And sometimes something happened to one of your leaders or one of your associates. Maybe you did something, maybe you said something, maybe you're not even aware of what you've done. You meant well, but you understand that what you say could be completely different from the way the person may receive what you said based on how they interpreted whatever it is you said. When something like this happened, it has happened, right? It doesn't happen often, I'll be honest with you, but it does happen from time to time. And someone put a nasty comment there. It was not really nasty. It was kind of critical, and it was totally cool. And I reached out to this person, and I asked them, I'm not going to mention the name. It says, how can I fix what I might have done for you to feel this way? Humble yourself. Humble yourself in front of that person. And understanding that whatever it is that maybe got them upset, maybe you did something. And the one thing, folks, just before I continue on this thought, it's important that we understand that time will promote you, or time will expose you. Because time will always expose the reality of who you are. And sometimes we need to evolve as a person. And maybe that's one of those situations that you may have to grow out of, to be able to work out some of the issues or some of the things that you might have done or said that you didn't mean to hurt someone, but maybe you did. And it could be a great opportunity for you to learn from that experience. So again, if someone turns around and they become nasty, there's a reason. And that reason, it may be not something you intentionally did, maybe something you didn't even do, but somehow because you happen to be the leader, you're being pinned as being responsible for this situation. That happens a lot too. So my recommendation to you in handling the situation is, ask them the reason for why they feel that way, and listen. Don't try to justify, don't try to defend, none of that. Humble yourself and listen to what they're telling you. And you might learn something. And that experience may actually give you an opportunity to grow into a better person, or maybe a better leader. I hope that makes sense. So we don't have a lot of time here, so there's so much more we can talk about this here. But at the end of the day, if someone is persistent and not being friendly, regardless of what you say, ghost them. And I'm not saying you should do that. That's your decision. But at the end of the day, if the person is not willing to work with you, then you know what? There's other ways to solve this, right? And maybe you can not necessarily interact within your social environment, and try to work outside of that social environment until it's resolved. Okay, so it's that's just my advice. But I don't recommend you ghost someone just because something was said and you have no idea why. Investigate, find out what's going on, and I'm telling you that this step can really help you become an amazing leader as you grow. Okay. Now, the next point here I want to share with you is, how do we prospect up versus down? What's the best advice? How do I get out of my own head about it? For example, one of the things here. is as we build our businesses, very often what happens is we tend to build our businesses and attract to people. You know, there's an expression that likes attracts like, right? And what I mean by this is often to start sponsoring up. What I mean by that is sponsoring someone that have more experience than you, more skills than you, more successful than you. Sometimes that could be intimidating and even scary. Would you agree? If you agree, give me the thumbs up. Because listen, we all face that. Trust me, right? I remember years and years and years and years ago. I mean, this is I have no fear. Someone had the phone number of that's way before he became a president of the United States. He had the number of Donald Trump, and he turned around and says, I said, are you game to call him?" I said, "Absolutely." So I dialed his phone number, and you understand I had to go through layers of people, right? And I was calling and says, "Yes, I have an appointment with Mr. Donald Trump. Can I have a conversation? My name is Christian Jangra. Can I speak with him?" And then they passed me to someone else. And that person turns around, and I guess it must have been the closest person to him. It says, "Can I ask you what this is in regard to?" And then I turn around and explain, "Well, as a matter of fact, a very, very good friend that shared with me that Mr. Donald Trump might be interested in some business ventures. And I just felt compelled to give him a phone call and share with him what's going on." And of course, I was not able to pass that door. The fact here, folks, is this. Why am I sharing this with you? Is to be able to sponsor up, you got to get over your fears, right? And the way I look at this is every human beings, I have, regardless of my skin or color of my skin, at the end of the day, we have the same color of blood. We come from the same planet. We are made the same. We all have 10 fingers, 10 toes, if you understand what I'm saying, right? So the fact here is we create sometime an idea and an image of someone that we believe is so much more than us. I don't believe that. I don't see that. What I see is another human being that has challenges and problems like we all do. Okay? So the point here is if you want to sponsor up, it begins in the way you feel about yourself. This is very important you understand this. The way you feel about yourself. How confident are you about yourself? And I know that we're not robots. And because I'm telling you, you need to be confident, you're not going to pick up the phone call and feel confident. It's a process. But at least knowing this now, I'm planting the seed for you to start processing that thought. And it starts with the self worth. Very important. And one of the things is, and I want to give you some feedback when you're dealing with people that maybe are a bit of a higher scale when it comes to, let's say, a level of success. If you look at the notes here on the form, the sheet here, you know, uh, yes, that's a chicken list. You're absolutely correct. I absolutely correct. In fact, I appreciate you share that. I'm going to share this comment right here. Big time. Awesome. So what's going on here is when you're dealing with people that have a certain status, sometimes there is a great deal of ego involved, and you must play within their ego. I'm not saying that in a negative way. What I'm saying here is that sometimes what happens here is you just want to kind of play along with um, their qualities. For example, something I would say, if I'm sponsoring up, I'm trying to think of some examples that I've done, even recently. Um, I said one thing is I would say to this person, listen, I really really value the success that you have achieved and the impact that you have within your organization, within your company. Whatever it is that you find, obviously you would know these people, you'll have an idea where they come from. So I'm just being generic here. But you need to strike their egos. And I'm not saying to strike your ego in a way that's hypocritical. You got to find something and you know is real that they will recognize and acknowledge. And one of the things that I would say is, listen, I work with a company that is making a very big impact around the world. I know myself, I've been able to impact a lot of people around the globe. And I really think that this would be a wonderful fit for you. Would you be open to take a look? That would be my approach, right? And there's a thousand different examples that we can use here. But the thing is that you want to strike their ego a little bit, acknowledge who they are, acknowledge a level of success, and don't fear their success. Acknowledge it, and acknowledge the fact that we have something that they can really, really contribute. Not only they can benefit financially, because folks, listen, if you want to make money in this business, you got to talk money also. You can't just talk about we want to make the world a better place. That's wonderful. But if you're talking to a business entrepreneur, they want to know, is this worth my time? So it is important that you also keep that in mind as you're sharing, right? Um, and another thing, number B here, let me just bring this back. Um, we talk a lot about the third party credibility. Third party credibility is such an important thing. Okay. It is such an important aspect. And this is probably one of the greatest challenge that I believe I see when people start building their businesses is they don't take the time, or maybe they're uncomfortable asking for help. But the reality is this business is based on third party credibility. See, often you're going to share information, and because you share it, it's kind of like bias because you have an invested interest in it. But if a third party comes on board and starts contributing to what you're saying, then it validates what you're saying from a third party. And often, if you take someone that may have a success, maybe in the Max business, right? Maybe one of your upline might have an enormous amount of success. And I tell you, folks, anybody in this business who is having success in Max is very glad and happy to support a fellow associate within your organization, regardless of how far you are in the organization, because we all benefit from each other. So you need to learn the chain of command, a matter of speaking, and go all the way up and find someone that you feel can actually measure up with the level of success of that prospect. And this is what I mean over here by you need a third party support. And the last point here, number 4, as we end here, is either win or you learn. You either win or you learn. And understand that learning is a win. You need to understand that. Sometimes you may not feel that you won because you didn't get the sell, you didn't get the sign up, you didn't get the rank that you were looking for, you didn't qualify for that whatever trip incentive that was promoted. But these experiences are very important and they're part of your learning steps. And every time you learn something, you win because you're adding this into your collective of knowledge, of experiences. Very important. And the last point I want to talk about here briefly is feel, felt, and found. I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but here's what I found. How does that translate to? Is listen. I started with listen over here. If someone wants to stop, listen to what is going on. Then relate, right? So the fact is, I was mentioning it. You want to relate to the person. You want to understand where they come from. And then you want to tell a story. And then share what you found, what happened, how your life's been impacted. So they can relate to you when you went through the challenges that they're going through now. It's normal. It's part of the process. But here's what happened today. That's what the feel, felt, found. And folks, I really appreciate this session that we did on day 81 because these were the questions that were asked. And of course, there were some answers mentioned, and I share with you some of those answers with a little bit of a twist of how I feel about those, because I'm talking from experience from an associate all the way up to a crown diamond, which I felt would bring value to you. So I hope that I was able to give you some insight on some of those responses on those very important questions. And again, here's my recommendation. If let's say, maybe as a call to action here, I didn't come up with a question that you have, post it in the comment. I'm observing and I will answer that question in the comment. I may actually do a recording, I may actually do a video, whatever. Okay? It's entirely up to you. I'll leave that with you. So thank you for attending today. And folks, we're on day 81. Listen, we have 9 more days and boom, we're completing our 90 days just like that. So thank you for participating. Thank you for being part of this session. And I look forward to our next one. Bye for now.